project focuses on inheritance, one of the pillars of object-oriented programming. In this project, we're going to create a base book class and then two derived classes that inherit from that base class. One will be fiction, one will be nonfiction. I'm going to jump down to the bottom of the assignment instructions, and we'll look at the Uml diagrams that are part of these. So our book class is going to have string fields for author last name, first name, title, ISBN, and then an integer for publication year. We'll have a constructor to build those, and another method of full name that returns author first, author last. So first name and last name. And then the fiction class inherits from book and adds a string called genre. And it's going to have a constructor that basically builds off a book and adds that genre string in. And then we want a show info method that returns the phrase, whatever the title is, a work of fiction was written by their full name. So we're going to pull the full name from the book in the year, and its genre is whatever the genre is as far as that property. The nonfiction is basically doing the same thing, but rather than genre, we have topic. And the same show info method, it's going to know which one to use based on the type of object it's referring to. And so here, it's going to return title. A non-fictional book was written by full name and year, and its topic is topic. Oops, I got a little typo there. That semicolon should not be in there. So the way this program is going to work, here's our form. We're going to have a list box that lists the different books we add. We can click the Add Book button. We get a panel that pops up that allows us to put in the information for the book and then choose between a fiction or a nonfiction. Sorry, this one should say nonfiction topic rather than fiction genre there. Another little typo. And then based on which one we choose, we click the Submit button. It's going to add it to our list for the appropriate type of either fiction or nonfiction. And then in our list, if we click on one of the books, so if I click on the book for Open and Shut, we're told it's a work of fiction. But if I click on the non-fictional book, we're told it's a non-fictional book, and its topic is technology, whereas genre is mystery. And again, I notice this should say non-fiction information. So that's our project. I'm going to suggest you pause the video here and try to develop this on your own. If you have struggles, then come back and look at my solution, or maybe compare my solution to yours. Here's my solution to the books project in which we're using inheritance. So my Form 1 has a list box named LST Library. There is a group box here that contains labels and fields for each of the items we want to add into our data collection. And there are two radio buttons here to choose between fiction and nonfiction, and then two list boxes that show the different topics and genres that we can choose from, and a Submit button. So the user would fill these out, click Submit, and data that they've entered would go into a generic list of type book, and would also be displayed here in our list box. Behind this group box, there's also a button, and the button has text of Add New Book, and it's named BTN Add Book. Clicking that button simply brings up this group box that hides that button. And then all we do for this group box is set the visible to false initially, so it doesn't show up when we first run this. Let's take a look at our code. In the code, I have two lists here, one called Library and one called Displayed Books. And I'm actually going to show two different ways to do this. Displayed Books I'm going to use with link. And so you know it's kind of grayed out because I didn't really use this code. And I'll show you the alternative code. So two ways to do this. The other one is just using the list box and using its sorting feature. Here is the code to open that book panel. So our group panel, grp add book.show. And then our Submit button for that group box. So we're getting the information from the user in terms of the text boxes. And we're making sure they simply added something into those. So I'm double checking to make sure that the first name, last name, title are not null. If they are, we simply give a message box of incomplete data. Make sure the ISBN length is 13 characters. If it's not, we say incorrect data. If the year is less than 1,000 or it's greater than today, we're going to ask them to please check their year. There's probably incorrect data there. And then we'll make sure they clicked one of the buttons. So they must choose between fiction or nonfiction. And then also selecting a genre or a topic. So all of this is just simply meant to reinforce that the user has provided complete data. And you can look at that and figure that all out yourself. I'm not going to go through it line by line. And then if everything is correct, it's going to add their item as a new fiction object or a new nonfiction object to our library list. So 2 lines of code that do that based on the type of object that was selected, fiction or nonfiction. At the end of that, though, I'm going to clear my form. I'm going to update the library listing, so I'm calling a method here, and I'm going to hide my group box. That update library listing, let's take a look at that. We're going to clear the items in the LST library list box, and then we're going to sort our library list. Now, let's go back up here for a minute, because each one of these, as we're adding these in, if they've entered the correct data, we're going to add to our library list that we get up here of type book. So we're going to sort that list using the sort feature of our list. I'm going to skip through all this comment. We'll come back and look at that in a minute. For each book in that list, we're going to get the author's last name, comma, first name, the title, and the publication year, and add that to our list box. Now, here's the alternative. We could also use link to do this. So we could take the library items and sort that in our list, and then display the books that way. Just want to show you can use link to do this. Then when they click on an item in that list box, we've got a method to do the select index changed. And here we're going to get the book item of whatever they selected. So we have it going into my book. So we're going to get the library index of that they select. Now, again, if you were doing this with link, here's another option to be able to do that, and using that other list that we call displayed books to accomplish that. We're going to create a string called message title. It's null, and then we're going to add to that. And here we're going to look at the type of book that we're getting. So mybook.getType. Remember, my book is the item we clicked on the list. We're going to get type. If that type equals fiction, message title is going to equal fiction novel. Otherwise, it's going to equal nonfiction text. And then we're going to show message box, and we're going to take the mybook.showInfo. Now, which showInfo it uses here is going to be based on whether it's fiction or nonfiction. Remember, we had that showInfo in both of those children classes, and then our title is the message title. Oh, there's also a method here to clear the entry form that we called from up here, and it just simply sets all those text boxes to null, removes the radio button choice, and deselects any items in our 2 list boxes for genre and topic. That's our form. Let's take a look at the book class. So the book class, we have properties for author last name, author first name, title, ISBN, publication year, all strings except for publication year is an integer. Here's our constructor. We're going to pass it the last name, the first name, the title, the ISBN, and the year, and add those into those properties. We wanted a method to get the full name, so there we're going to return the author first name plus a literal string of a space and the author last name. And then we're going to use the iComparable.compareTo. If we wanted to do the sorting of those books, we need to have a compare_to method that does that. And so here we're going to compare the A name of book A to the B name of our current object. And so we're using A.author last name plus comma space A.author first name. And then our B name is going to be this.author name. Again, a literal string with a comma space and first name. And then simply going to return the compare of B name comma A name. That's going to allow our project to sort the items in the book based on last name comma first name. And then we have a showInfo method here that's virtual. It's going to return this is from the book parent class. We'll never see that happen because that's going to be overridden in our nonfiction and fiction classes. Let's take a look at the fiction class. So here's our fiction class. It inherits from book. We're adding another property called genre, and our constructor here for fiction takes all the items from book plus our genre class as the last item. It's going to pass those first items to the base constructor, and we're also going to do genre in this constructor. Here's our public override string. That show info method is overriding the show info inside our parent class. And here's where we can turn the string that's a work of fiction written by, and this is a novel of a particular genre, and return that information. The nonfiction, pretty much the same thing. Our property is topic rather than genre here. We're going to have the constructor for nonfiction, taking all the items from our base parent class plus topic, and we're going to pass those first items to the base constructor and add in topic. And then our show info, our string here is the title is a nonfiction book written by the name and the year. This book covers the topic of, and whatever the topic is, and return that. Let's take a look at this running. Here's my project running. I've got my list box and my button to add a new book. I'm going to click that. And I've been reading a book by Doris Kearns Goodwin. Called Leadership in Turbulent Times. The ISBN is 978-14767-95928, and it was published in 2018. So this is a nonfiction. I'm going to click the nonfiction button, and it's really kind of a history book, but since it's based on leadership, we'll say it's business, and I'll click submit, and it's added to my list. Let me add another book. We'll add in David Baldacci. The book is called The Target. The ISBN is 978-1455-21265. And the year of this book is 2014. It's a fictional book, mystery. I'll click submit. So there are my two books. I can keep adding books of either fiction or nonfiction. Notice it ordered these alphabetically, and that was done by sorting the list, not sorting the list box. David Baldacci, if I click that one, I'm told this target is a work of fiction written by David Baldacci in 2014. This is a novel of mystery, of the mystery genre. So we get our title of fiction novel. However, if I click Kearns Goodwin, I get a title of nonfiction text. Leadership in Turbulent Times is a nonfiction book written by Doris Kearns Goodwin in 2018. The book covers the topic of business. So each of those is using a different show info method based on the type of object that's included in our book list. And that is the value of inheritance. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the C# Xamarin Programming Cohort playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos that I create, you can click my picture up in the top right and subscribe to the channel.